Okay. Had to delete some of these videos to get this to work again. See the brake light staying on? It said that I could turn this off so you can hear me. It said that I could splice a ground wire into this black and yellow wire right here for the brake monitoring system. So that's telling me, you know, with the other brake problems we're having, we're going to have to splice the ground. It's getting cobbled, okay? A new engine wiring harness is about, I don't know, it said 300, but that over there, I found one used on eBay. If it's got the same part number, if I can get a mirror in there and read that part number and it's the same thing, I'm going to change it out. I talked to the guy. He said he's worked for Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler for 20 years, and he said he's never seen one go bad. I see a lot of people put them on there. Said he got one used. You got to test the PCB board, the resistance across it both ways, and he said, you know, whatever it is, he don't want to refund it if it ain't going to fix your problem. You got another problem. Process of elimination. Get a ground wire to that, hook it to the battery, and if it turns off the brake light on the instrument cluster, that's one more thing. This right here, it's like $600 refurbished. I did put one on an S10 one time that the wiper motor and all that, it was doing funny stuff. Brake light here and there wouldn't work. Checked the wires were good. So I did put a new one of these on there and it fixed it. You know, kind of expensive, $1,000 new. I think they're $1,000 new. The wiring harness is $400, and then I did have to put grounds to the headlights. They quit working. They were $20 a piece, man. They're kind of expensive. And then I need to hook up a relay. I've got a toggle switch on the fuel pump. She thought the transmission was going out. I did too. I was like, man, the transmission's slipping. But what happens is it usually loses the ground to the fuel pump is what usually happens, especially on all vehicles. Like I was working on the road at the railroad. This guy was like, man, you saved my marriage. You saved me. I've got 4 cars just like this broke down. He calls me back up. He sent me some money. He sent me like $200. I was like, wow, thanks. And it was losing ground to the fuel pump most of the time. But what I'm going to do on this one is hook a relay up. I just did all that to see what it's going to take to get it, make sure it's even going to be able to run. And I'm going to hook a relay up that gets power whenever you turn the key on, so you don't have to have a toggle switch, and fix my cluster back. And still the horn ain't working again. I don't know. But that's got to be, you got to have a horn, you know. That's just the way it is. But a wiring harness $300, that brand new is almost $1,000. I think that's almost, I think $500 I seen, or $600 on a refurbished unit. And then I don't know, it's starting to have ground issues. But I'm gonna hook this ground wire up right here. I got one that's, it don't look totally cobbled up. It'll probably, yeah, it fits my nut. So we're gonna hook up a ground wire to that and see if that's a process of elimination. You get the brake light off, and then I'm gonna pull the wheel off and check the pins on the caliper where they slide in and out. You know, I'm gonna grease them up with some high temperature anti-seize. I look like the old timers that's got the crap everywhere, but I rotated the wheels, and I did put this new wheel bearing on. I treated that rim again too. That stuff works, man. If you've got a nasty wheel, that Meguiar's, I'm telling you, it needs cleaned. I sprayed the last little bit I had on it last night. It said not to let it dry, but a guy that worked at AutoZone turned me on to it. He's a big car guy. You know, he showed me a set of wheels that were gone. He's like, man, it took about 3 bottles, but they look brand new. I put the new wheel bearing on. I know you can't see it from here, but I put a new wheel bearing in there. It's reading. So it quit throwing the ABS light and locking up the brakes. We got that much done. And then this upper A-arm, that upper A-arm right here, I don't know if you can even see it. That upper A-arm right here, I'm going to try to get a guy to make me 2 sleeves and put that piece that came with on the lift kit. So he's going to make a sleeve that's as wide as it is here, the same inside diameter as that bolt and the outside diameter of those bars. That way it could be right as rain. You put a wheel bearing in it, you better have all that new stuff in there, because I had to drop that dog leg loose enough to get it out to where I could get it out. It was a pretty much nightmare. You know, it had swelled up with rust, and it was cod-locked. So sometimes you can thread the nuts into the back of that and then smack the nuts and get it out, and ain't no way. I'm glad I did do all that, because that's what it took to get the wheel bearing. It's reading now. But when I hooked the scan tool up to see the distance traveled on the wheels, this wheel here, where it's acting up, it's giving me problems. I'm going to try to do this brake light switch, and then I'm going to pull that wheel and grease the pins to make sure the pins ain't sticking on the brake caliper. I put a new brake caliper on it. I put a new brake line on it probably, I don't know, it's been a while now. It's been 3-4 years ago. So it might need a brake caliper, but I'm hoping that, you know, I can squish it, make sure it ain't locked up, and then grease the pins, and then we're going to get this brake light to turn off. We get that brake light to turn off, that might be some of a problem too. But I found a used ABS control module off of a Jeep Patriot. Guy says he's some kind of pro. I'm gonna look up the part numbers on these and see what's what. If it's the same part number, you gotta take them 4 screws off of that. The pump's reading good. You can turn the pump on, listen to it. Guesstimation now. Not saying 100%. Oh yeah, it's right. It's just something. No, I don't know. You know, we're start throwing parts at it for you know. If that's what it takes to get her done. So bear with me. I'll get this changed, or I'll get that cut, spliced in, see if we can get that inside light off. We get that light off, and then that might be some of our problem too, because it's got to know. You got to trick the computer here. That's part of tricking the computer into thinking everything's okay. You know, it's got fluid, whatever. I mean, if it obviously goes dead or drains out, it's going to tell us. So bear with me.